If you and your spouse have been working with a financial advisor and you've seen those projections that show your plan lasting to age 90, 95, maybe even 100, I need to ask you something. Has anyone ever shown you that plan running with just one of you? Not both of you living to 95, one of you alone. Managing the finance, navigating the taxes, covering the same mortgage, the same insurance, the same health care, on less income, in a higher tax bracket, during the worst emotional moment of your life. If the answer is no, and for most couples, it is no, then what you've been shown isn't a complete plan. It's basically half of one. I'm not bringing this up to scare you. I'm bringing it up because I lived it. When my wife was diagnosed with a terminal illness, the medical questions, they came first. That's where your attention goes. That's where it should go. But underneath, the medical reality, a financial reality, was unfolding that nobody had prepared us for. Our plan was built for two people, two income, joint filing, shared expenses. And when I started running the numbers for what happens when a household goes from 2 to 1, not theoretically, not in a projection, but in real time, I realized we had a gap that no one had ever identified. I've spent the years since making sure other families see that gap before life forces them to find out. Now, you've probably seen the term survivor's penalty in the news recently. CNBC covered it just a few weeks ago, and it's been circulated. Most of the coverage focuses on tax, and they're right. The tax hit is real, but taxes are only one piece of what actually happens. The full picture is worse than the headline suggests, and it happens all at once. Now, here's what I mean. When one spouse passes away, 4 things hit the survivor simultaneously. First, income drops overnight. Social Security keeps only the higher of the 2 checks. The lower one disappears. For most couples, that's somewhere between $500 and $1,200 a month. Now that's gone. If either spouse has a pension, check the survivor benefit. Many pensions pay 50% to the survivor, and some pay nothing. Second, your tax bracket, it compresses. Here's what that actually means in plain terms. In 2026, a married couple doesn't hit the 22% federal tax bracket until they have over $100,000 in taxable income. A single filer hits that same bracket at $50,000. Same income, higher taxes because the IRS treats you like a single person with the same bills. Third, your standard deduction gets cut nearly in half. Married couples get $32,200. A single filer over 65 gets about $18,000. That's $14,000 in income that was previously sheltered from taxes, and now that's exposed. And fourth, if you have significant retirement income, Medicare gets more expensive. The thresholds for income-related surcharges drop from $218,000 for couples to a $209,000 for single filer. You could be paying the same Medicare premiums as someone earning twice what you earn, simply because your filing status has changed. Now, here's the part that makes all of this so difficult. Your expenses don't cut in half when a spouse dies. Your mortgage doesn't change. Property taxes, they stay the same. Utilities bear remote. Insurance stays. Healthcare often increases. Now, I had a conversation with a woman whose husband had passed away 8 months earlier. Her advisor told her that she was fine. Her Social Security dropped $900 a month. Her tax bracket jumped too low. IRMA surcharges kicked in on her Medicare. She was paying $14,000 more in taxes annually on less income. Does that make sense to you? Financial planners estimate that a surviving spouse needs $70,000 to 80% of what a couple spent together. But their income has typically dropped to about 64% of what it was. That gap between what you need and what your plan provides as one person is what I call the survivor's income gap. Now, most couples have never seen it because most plans have never tested for it. That's the real problem here. The tax code. The tax code is what it is. The problem is that your retirement plan has two versions, the couple version and the survivor version. And most advisors have only ever shown you the one. Okay, here's what I want to actually do with this. Tonight or this weekend, sit down and run what I call the survivor's penalty test. 3 steps, 10 minutes. One number that tells you whether your plan survives this transition. Step 1, calculate survivor's income. Take your combined Social Security, remove the lower check. The survivor keeps only the higher one. If either of you has a pension, check the survivor benefit. Write down the new total monthly income. Step 2, recalculate your tax burden as a single filer. Take that new income and apply the single filer bracket. In 2026, the 22% bracket starts at $50,400. The standard deduction drops to $16,100. Check whether the new income triggers IRMA surcharges. That threshold is $109,000 for a single. Write down the new after-tax monthly income. Step 3, compare that to your expenses that don't decrease. Housing, property taxes, utilities, insurance, healthcare, food. One person eats about 70% of what two eat, not 50. The difference between what the survivor needs and what the plan provides, that's your survivor's income gap. If that gap exists, your plan needs what I call a survivor overlay, and it needs it now, while both of you are still here, healthy, and able to make the decisions together. Because the alternative is making those decisions alone, under grief, with fewer options. Now, the survivor's penalty test shows you whether the gap exists. Closing it, that's what life season mapping is built for. Most people hear life season and think active years, slowing years, support years, and those phases matter. But there's a transition most plans never map. The shift from a 2-person household to a 1-person household. In plain terms, it means building 2 versions of your retirement plan. Tested independently, engineered to transition without requiring financial decisions during grief. That includes Social Security claiming strategy. Because when each spouse claims directly, it affects how much the survivor receives. It includes Roth conversion time. Converting while both spouses are alive reduces the survivor's taxable exposure. And it includes restructuring which accounts fund the survivor, in what order, and what tax rates. These aren't separate decisions. They're interconnected. Changing one affects all of the others. That woman that I mentioned, the one whose advisor said she was fine, if her plan had been mapped for both versions before her husband passed, that conversation never happens. She already knows the answer. That's what it feels like when the plan accounts for reality, not just projections. So run the survivor's penalty test. If the gap doesn't exist, you'll sleep better knowing your plan survives either way. If it does, now you know exactly where it is. And the window to close it, while both of you are still at the table together, making decisions with clarity instead of grief. If you have questions about this, or you need help mapping both versions of your plan to your specific situation, go to jonathanpeters.net for a consultation and schedule your adaptive retirement blueprint session. Your plan has 2 versions. If you've only seen one, you don't have a complete plan. The couples who map both versions before life forces the transition never have to make financial decisions during the worst moment of their lives. That's not pessimism. That's architecture.